We continue our coverage live from the 6th National Policy Conference of the ANC. Tonight we're dealing with several report-back sessions. So as some of the NEC members conclude their report back to the delegates inside, they hold media briefings, and then we also have a bit of an opportunity to ask them to expand and explore further just some of the documents that they've put before the sessions. We're joined now by NEC member Thabang Makwetla, who's just finished his presentation on the balance of forces. And Dr. Makwetla, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time tonight.
Good evening, Kate, and thank you for having us on your program.
Let me begin firstly just with a couple of questions that have been coming up around what is going on inside the plenary hall where the delegates have gathered. There's this issue of credentials, and some delegates complaining about how the people who are here were chosen to be here, and the fact that that may not have been a democratic process.
No, actually the issue that kept us slightly longer in plenary in one place was around credentials. It was not participants who were not supposed to be there. The conference was wanting to make sure that they have sufficient information on progress in relation to the implementation of the resolutions of the past national conference. And they felt that that information should be made available as people are going to commissions tomorrow, so that they can engage with the issues, determine for themselves whether we've done well or we have actually failed in the moving around those areas where there were clear decisions by the last conference, or of the last conference. Yeah.
Just confirm for us again, how many delegates are part of this conference?
The conference was to have 2,000 delegates. We have more than 2,000. It's oversubscribed. There are categories where the projected numbers or the invited delegates are more than what was allocated. There are those categories, but the conference agreed to agree.
What is the number of extra delegates you have?
That information can be made easily available. It's just that I don't have it with me.
Do you think it's going to present problems for you?
No. We are past. We have adopted. We have adopted the credentials. And according to the chair of the session, in record time, because it was quicker than even the South African Communist Party was able to.
The issue of the program for this conference, and you talk about the resolutions from the 2017 conference and what had been done to date, there seemed to have been some contestation from the floor. Some people who had raised their hands wanted to make contributions but feel they weren't given the opportunity to say fully what they may have wanted to say.
No, actually, it was a very democratically managed discussion. Usually,
I feel like you're being very diplomatic. What does a diplomatically managed discussion look like?
No, not at all, Casey, because I'm one person who, now and again, I have my own side battles with the chair of the ANC in NEC meetings. Today, he was so mellow. He was so laid back. And he even said to delegates, you see, I'm worried for you because it looks like you are going to leave this place with high blood pressure, and I'm going to remain here, nice and cool. And indeed, he was very relaxed about it. He managed the session very well.
So you don't feel that there are people who should walk away from that particular station feeling like they weren't given an opportunity to express their concerns about what was on the program?
Not a single one of those delegates would feel that way. There was no indication. When we eventually agreed to move on in relation to a report on the implementation of the last conference resolutions, there was unanimity.
How much of it was about the step-aside rule?
We did not discuss that.
You didn't discuss it at all?
No, it was not part.
Okay.
I know that it was expected, according to media reports to be an issue, but it was not part of it.
Okay. Let's then come into your report back to the party balance of forces. When the ANC reflects on where South Africa is, we'll start with the international factors first. The war between Russia and Ukraine is really highlighted as being one that has been significant and that has had very dire implications for the global economy, and a country like South Africa not excluded for it from that. And I guess the big question here for the organization is really about whether the position the party has taken is still the right position in as far as placing South Africa in response to that conflict.
Yes. No, we're very confident, Kathy, about our stance in relation to the Russia-Ukraine conflict, because it is a premise from the ANC's traditional policy on our involvement with the world, that we belonged and we were the movers of the non-aligned movement. The development and the vibrancy of the non-aligned movement was with the participation of the ANC when we were still a national liberation movement, even before we came into office. And today, even in relation to this conflict that we're talking about, we're very clear and about that. We do not want our country to be dragged into any one side. Because the conflict now almost presents the second Cold War, because it's NATO against Russia. If you were to, like, strip it off, the embellishments, it's NATO against Russia. And we don't want, it's regrettable that we find ourselves in that kind of situation, because the Cold War was never good for all countries of the world. The end of the Cold War was good for the global economy, because we live in a world where the world economy is one. We talk about the disruption of supply chain as if it's something new. It's only language that is. We're talking of world trade. World trade has, over the decades, it has brought all countries of the world to share one economy. And where there is conflict, everyone gets affected. And that is why we are very concerned that the Security Council, we believe, should be doing more to actually bring about a seizure of a cessation of
all right.
the fight
Mr.
between the two countries.
We're quickly running out of time, but I have to ask you on this issue, because you also talk about it in the issue, in your analysis around the balance of forces, and it's really around the deteriorating state of security in South Africa. And the July unrest is used as an example of highlighting where we are. How are you going to deal with the fact that the undermining of the state has, in many instances, also come from members of the ANC? What is the solution to that?
Yes. No, that's an important matter, Kathy, and of course, away from the Russia-Ukraine war. It's an important matter, the weakened national stability and the increased insecurity that South Africans feel. These are domestic dynamics more than an influence that's coming from outside. We have looked at this and said in the document that the ANC, in evaluating threats to the country, yes, we did note that, counter-revolutionary agendas may emerge against the ANC's program, but never thought that those agendas would come or be supported by part of the ANC constituency, as it happened with respect to the July 2021 unrest. And this is what we are making members of the ANC to appreciate, that any one of us who seeks to bring about political new direction, change in South Africa, that is not achieved through constitutional means, who doesn't go to the elections, convince South Africans about their agenda and get the majority support for that agenda, cannot be supported by anyone and should be the enemy of all South Africans, because this constitution that says we must run our lives in the democratic way that it enjoins us, it's got to be protected. It has been sacrificed for, it must be protected.
The fact that the KZN region has come out so strongly in support of former President Jacob Zuma and says that his arrest was wrong, does that not create concerns for the party as a whole?
Of course, the party, the NEC has expressed itself on the matter that you have raised, you are raising. There will be within the constituency of the party in the province of KZN people who are harboring sentiments that the position of the ANC was not correct. But we are very clear. Right. We stand on the enforcement of the Constitution and the authority of our courts. That's where the ANC stands.
Mr. Makwetla, we're going to have to leave it there.